The cross there means maybe a missed opportunity for Magnus. Was that just capturing this pawn? It took courage. Instead, a safer decision from the former world champion. And G3 Hikaru fighting back now, utilizing this pin. The F4 pawn cannot be touched. You cannot take on G3. Maybe you can, but either way, you have to calculate well here.
Yeah, and it does feel that Magnus is losing a little of the control he had with this, especially with this last move by Hikaru. G3, great move.
And we should mention the clock time, 3.5 minutes now for Magnus, 4 minutes 50 almost for Hikaru Nakamura. I've seen these two face off in Title Tuesday multiple times where there's a 1 second increment. Magnus has lost on time countless times in their encounters. He always seems to flag against Hikaru, so he's going to get nervous if the clocks tick down. Meanwhile, F takes E4, Judith. Which one is Hikaru going to recapture?
I think G3 was something that Magnus was not expecting, and this is why I also thought after knight E2 is little attack on the F4 pawn, I want to go bishop C3, but actually G3 was the idea. GF is very logical. I think black, I don't know, bishop H3.
Bishop H3, right?
Yeah, feels strange to allow this move with tempo, lining up against the black king on the diagonal, hitting the black queen. Maybe he's just going to drop back. Maybe he'll just move his queen away and say, trade off bishops, please. Bishop H3, maybe he'll just retreat.
But there is another question. What about knight G3?
I know, and I was thinking you could back that up with moves like F5, but okay, that requires a lot of calculation.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to hit this black queen, and Magnus better have some answers up his sleeve, but Hikaru has slowed down. It's really tense. It feels like the critical moments could be around now.
Exactly. I also wanted just to point out that he spends this few seconds, or maybe even a little more, knight G3 or bishop H3.
Knight G3 played.
On the board, the black queen has to move. The question is, where does she centralize? Oh, question mark attached to that move as well. Maybe a mistake, giving black an opportunity.
Maybe black can grab on G3, or what can be the problem?
Ooh, I'm thinking about going for that A2 pawn that you've both been mentioning a few times. Okay, the black queen just steps back.
Well, going for the A2 pawn.
Yeah, I wanted to go for it with the black queen.
And it's important now that queen E4 is not possible because bishop D5 would win the exchange.
And both players under 3 minutes. Well, Hikaru just over. And we see a trade of bishops.
F5, look at that.
Wow, tactics galore.
Yeah, black cannot take.
Yeah.
Because knight F5 and bishop H3. But maybe it's about time to take on A2. No.
He wants to take with the queen. Big threat on the board. Queen takes A2 might be devastating, end in a checkmating attack.
But you can simply play some safety chess and move the king to protect that pawn. And he does do that. And now Magnus centralizing the knight. And again, it just feels like anyone's game, although big threat on the board of knight coming into F3. And we see the same pattern keep repeating time and time again. You know, now the white queen attacks the pawn on A7.
Yeah, two can play at that game. He attacks the pawn and Magnus ignores it completely. Wow, nerves of steel. He's arguing that queen takes pawn is not as dangerous as it looks because later on the black bishop will move and vacate a square for the black king on D7. Wow, okay. Hikaru, it feels like he needs to gamble. It's a bit like Magnus's game yesterday in the Armageddon against Wesley. Queen takes A7 happened there too, and it worked out well for white.
But somehow this is not that position. When Magnus's queen was on A7, things started to become much better than before. And here the white square bishop will be incredibly strong of Magnus. And now we can see that the pawns are not really good of white. There are a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah, black's king is safe. It's got extra protection around it, extra shelter compared to the white king. And like you say, Judith,
this is not something that you get away against Magnus.
Yeah, not in classical at least, but this is Armageddon. 2 minutes now for white. Hikaru is down on the clock. Not good news for the American fans there. What to play? It's hard. There's tactics all over the place. You're threatening to take this pawn, undermine the white knight on E4.
Also, knight C4 is a threat. Both.
I mean, isn't it time to mobilize the rook? And he does do that. And maybe there are some ideas of rook takes bishop in the air. I can see the evaluation, but hating white's position. But still, when the players have less than 2.5 minutes on the clock, it's going to get tense.
Wow, and we did see that there was a missed opportunity for Magnus. We saw the red cross appear with his last move, but he plays a very safe one. Can't blame him for that. There are going to be tactical opportunities later. He's up on time with a great position, as said there in the feature chat. Magnus Carlsen right now. Hikaru needs some magic.
He's allowed bishop takes pawn.
He's done it willingly. Maybe that was the lesser of the evils there. A smash and grab. That white pawn on a2 has disappeared, but white has gained some time in return. Going on the attack now, counter-attack. Hitting the black queen. Oh, Magnus is zooming in for the kill, Judith.
He's not joking here.
No, big threat on the board of queen a5 check. And something is going to happen on a2.
Something's going to happen. The queen and bishop combo there for black, looking really menacing. You need to block somehow with the white queen, with the white rooks. But it feels like it's hanging by a thread. Under 1 minute now for Hikaru.
Maybe he'll play some b4 or something just to protect this a2 square, but it's kind of hopeless.
Yeah, Magnus with a better position and also more time on the clock. And the players are on move 31, which means that still some moves left before they get that 1 second increment. And we see a set of rooks leave the board.
Yeah, Magnus is a pawn up and with the ongoing initiative, so that trade seems to help black.
Queen a4 seems to be quite a strong move. Queen h2 and queen h4, so kind of a double attack.
Oof, yeah, that looks like a killer.
No, but Magnus decides to weave a mating net. Bishop comes down to b3. Big threat of queen a4 on the board.
Almost unstoppable threat. Unstoppable if you have 30 seconds at least. How does white get his pieces in? The white knight, the white bishop, they're just offside, unable to come back to the rescue of their king. As said in the feature chat there, Hikaru does need a miracle. With 30 seconds left, queen a4. Oof.
Rook goes away. Still the fighting spirit is there.
Yes.
Yeah, but Hikaru, 23 seconds. And check. Uh-oh.
The white rook is going to drop. The white rook is undefended. Magnus wins it. But his knight falls. Hikaru's still fighting. Still in the game for now, at least.
I'm not even sure that Nakamura did not give it on purpose with bishop g4.
Yeah, I think he had to. He had to give something up. But Magnus playing for tricks now. Bishop takes pawn. Really nasty. If the bishop was captured there, black had queen f4 check, picking up one of white's pieces. And now everything's coming through. Surely, Judith, this is going to be checkmate.
If it's not going to be checkmate, I think Magnus will be winning Hikaru's queen at the end of it.
On time.
Yep. And we see a handshake. Magnus takes the Armageddon victory with the black pieces and nets 1.5 points. Well, Hikaru did promise us fireworks, and in the end, the Armageddon game did deliver. That was super exciting.